Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Moments. So glad to have you. If you're coming on right now, you're going to see a few surprise guests out there. We're going to be talking about the family meeting. So, do me a favor if you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube tonight, go ahead and share this with folks on YouTube. Thank you for the first thumbs up. So, everybody, come in and give us a thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, please share this. We're only going to be on for like 30, 35 minutes just to talk a little bit with some of my Hey, good to see you. Share, 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 like. Go to YouTube also and subscribe to the page so you don't miss any of this. Anytime that we're on and anytime we're doing something, you can be a part of it. And as you're coming on tonight, where Pastor Nell is no longer, she's not here with me tonight. I almost messed that up. Pastor Nell is not with me tonight. She's actually working very hard on some things so that we can be ready for Saturday. That's what she's doing right now. She won't be with me tonight for this time, but she will be with us on Saturday. All right. So again, good evening, good evening, good evening. See you guys coming in. We're going to get this started. All right. So who I have with me, I think some of you may know them. I wanted to put this, sort of a kingdom stew together. You have in front of you tonight lots of folks who are doing some amazing things, and I'm so glad they were able to hop on. I'm so glad that the Ellingtons were able to hop on. They sort of represent this business type blended family, all that stuff all up in there and working through it as a family, and we're really excited about what God's doing in their life. The endings, and I don't know how they work together every day. They got to be best friends to be able to pull that off. Very successful in business and running a great family and putting all those things together. Now, Chris and Jenna just had their first child, but doing business, exploding and doing all that stuff, and then raising this family and having great family meetings from her lineage. And also April is with us. April is with us, not married yet, but it's coming real soon. Raising an amazing young man there in not the DC area. What area will we call that? I don't know. Way up northeast. So we're going to be talking about the family meeting tonight. How important the family meeting is, how to put together a family meeting, and the importance of a family meeting. So we're so glad that you tuned in. So I just have a few questions for my guests tonight. My first question is, can any of you guys share with us why you think every family needs a family meeting? Why do you believe that it's really important that families come together and have a family meeting? And anybody can go at any time and in any order.
We'll go. I know for us, we have sitting under Pastor Martin and Pastor Linnell's leadership and at AWC, the example that's been there has consistently hit us from the time we started coming to AWC. So one of the things with our blendedness and the things that is so unique, so that we stay consistent with regards to our vision and making sure that the legacy and the things that we have, going, that's, will be left to our kids, so that those particular channels aren't, driven down, if you will.
Okay.
Just continue to move up.
Okay. Right. Anybody else want to answer that one? Why have one at all?
So for us, we recognize that we are two very different people. We think differently. We have different energy levels. We, solve problems differently. Everything about us is very different.
Hold up. Okay, guys, can y'all interpret what Jenna just said?
What did I just say?
You just said, I am wearing him out. That's what you just said.
We just had this conversation tonight.
Yes and no.
So I am a kind of an intense person. I'm a kind of a unicorn when it comes to things and like loving growth and loving all these things. And Chris loves to have fun, but both are very much needed. And they're very much needed for our family and our legacy, because me alone, I would wear myself out. I would talk myself down weird paths, all of these things. So for us, having a family meeting is about these two really amazing minds and amazing hearts coming together and being unified as one entity and setting vision and setting goals and setting action for that entity to be able to move forward in one direction. And when we do that, there's power in that because it's not just Jenna's ideas or Chris's ideas. It's both of us coming together, and that makes us unstoppable. So that's why we have family meetings.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go next, I guess. I think for us, we've been together almost, 20 years last year, 20 years last year. So, and then we were together 5 years before we were married. So after going through the motions for so long, you really get, especially if you have goals and aspirations, you don't want to just exist. So you have all this energy, you go to work, you make money, you come home, you have a relationship, you have kids. And eventually what can happen is there's so much energy coming towards you, you can kind of just exist and do everything that externally is presented to you. Whereas if you come home and you're like, and you have goals and you want to get things done, to be able to pull all the family together and kind of articulate those goals and say, this is who we are, this is where we're going, this is and this is how we're going to get there, is much more efficient to communicate through, a meeting. A lot of our family meetings, we have some formal meetings at the end of the year where we go over everything, but a lot of our informal meetings, have happened on vacation or, in the backseat of the car, just depending on what's going on with our family. So I'm just being transparent. So, it has to go down. It has to go down sometimes. But yeah, I think overall it's just communicating as a family what our dreams and goals are. So it's absolutely necessary.
Awesome. Awesome. Did you want to go April or you want to move on?
Reason to have a family meeting. It's because you want to ensure that the entire family understands what's the vision for the family, how does each person in the family play into that vision, and what giftings and skills and all of these things do each family member have. This has been said before about what role each family member plays, and not only that, how can other people in the family support other family members to achieve those individual goals, and how we're going to work together to do the corporate family goals. So having that vision so that you're on the same page, you're going in the same direction, and then you can come back and check to see where you are, if you need to make any adjustments on the trajectory of how you're going to achieve that. All of that is important, and ensuring that everyone knows that they all have a part that they play in the family and towards the family vision.
Awesome. So can you guys talk to me about how much work does it take each of you to pull the right family members together? Has that ever been an issue? Has it ever been, I don't know, how important is it to have all the players there, and how do you get it done?
So for us, we typically will travel out of town, and we let our children know when we go. The first part of it is going to be our what we're going to do as a family, and then after we have done all of that, then we continue on, and we try to do that at least twice a year, at the beginning and usually in the middle of the year. But we strategically plan it so that they are all there.
Okay.
We had one here at the house. It was the very first one that we did, and it was interesting because we had all 6 kids here, and it was amazing because, well, first we had to, I don't want to say lure them here, but we had to let them know that it's critical to everyone's future that you be here. And, we didn't know how serious they would take it because our older children are living their own lives, but yet they're tied in in with regards to our legacy, our will, and the things that we have, going to be left to people.
Mhm.
So if they didn't understand that, or if they didn't want to be a part of it, then that's where we have to, put our foot down and say, hey, we have to find out, where you're at. And then after that, we have a big breakfast. The first one here, we had a huge breakfast. So
That would do it for me.
So
Awesome.
just making sure from the oldest down to the youngest, our youngest is 5. So, yeah.
Awesome. How important is it to the rest of you guys to have everyone there, and how do you do it?
So lately for us, this has kind of changed now that we have a baby. It used to be very easy for us to pull each other together and have a conversation. I mean, the big family meeting, is going off on a vacation and spending time doing that. But like the weekly, monthly family meetings were easy before having a baby. But now it seems like there is a bunch of stuff to do. So we're being a lot more intentional and deliberate about, coming together. And we actually just had this conversation for the past couple of weeks of like, okay, after the baby's going to bed, we're going to have this conversation because we need to stay together and stay moving forward, even if there is another member of our family. So it's been a little bit harder logistically, but it's still something we're prioritizing.
So Ellington's, clue Jenna and Chris in on what it's going to be like when they have 4 adult children and 2 younger ones.
Well, hey, I
Start young.
Yeah.
Train them young.
Train them young. And we started having our family meetings in 2015. So our kids, our older kids, they were coming to church, but they were like hit and miss. And we had to kind of let them know it's more than just church. It's not just church. This is a legacy thing. And some of our older kids kind of fell off, but we still let them know. Even our financial advisor, he said give them till 30. He said give them till 30. And because if they don't have it together, we can't leave millions of dollars to someone that's just going to run and spend it all up on a girl or something of that nature. So starting young. So as soon as your son can start talking, feed them.
And including them in when they're younger, getting their take and their buy-in in it will go way further than it would without.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone else want to answer that question about getting everyone together?
So I just want to add that it is very important, to have everyone together. And that has also changed, for our family because Joseph is in college now. And so he sort of has his own schedule with things that he's doing and he's planning. So I have to be very intentional about ensuring that, we're on the same page in terms of when we're going to sit down. And it looks different. There was a time where it was always on family vacation, but I learned, that as things changed with his life changes with college and, him, working, I had to be intentional about finding those times and making sure that he was ready and in the mental space to talk about the things that we were going to talk about. So sometimes it had to be more informal when I was planning for it to be formal. So I think it's all about knowing your family members, knowing what each person needs to ensure that you're not only present physically, but you're actually present and in the moment, and that everyone can actively listen and be engaged and participate. So I think it's very important to ensure that everyone is present and that you're all, there and involved.
Okay. So April, you come from a situation where you were married when you had Joseph, right?
Right.
And now you are divorced. There's a dynamic there, right? Is
Right.
is that dynamic? How does that dynamic play out in your family meeting? Are you in touch with his dad? Is he? How does that whole thing work out? Just give us a minute of that before the ending answer.
Sure, absolutely. So Joseph was very young when his father and I divorced. And so over the years, I was very intentional about keeping him involved with what was going on with Joseph because I was an active duty military member at the time. So I was in the Air Force relocating, and he was still in Germany. And so I had to be very intentional about calling to keep him involved on what was going on with Joseph. And if it was something that was significant, making sure that if I couldn't reach him, that I sent an email. So it looked different, as Joseph was younger. And then once Joseph was at an age where he could have his own cell phone and call his dad, he could do that. But I was still very intentional, and still am very intentional now with him being an adult, that if there are significant things that are going on, that I reach out to him. And if he doesn't answer, that I send him an email so that he's aware and we're both involved in key aspects of Joseph's life. And, there's even times where Joseph has asked questions and I'll tell him, hey, I think you should call your dad and talk to your dad about that. So that is what it's looked like for us. And especially being someone who has served in the military and who's had to travel, all over, the world and different states. So I think for individuals who are divorced and you have the child who lives primarily with one parent, it is important for the other parent to keep the other parent involved, to the degree that they can, do so. I think that's very important.
Thanks for the insight. I didn't know if the
You're
ending
welcome.
would answer the second one or not.
Okay. Yeah, hi. So right now, Skylar's out of the house, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But with Keone here, it's easy for us to pull together, and he's at an age where he really participates, because these kids know a lot. Well, they think they know a lot. So it's been interesting the last few years with having him being in his teens and having his input in what we're gonna shoot for, or what our goals are gonna be, or what things look like for the family. So, but otherwise, we would travel too. Now sometimes we have to have impromptu family meetings. Something pops up, we'll do it right then and there, like you said, and maybe not in the backseat of the car, but wherever.
Well, you weren't at that one. That was just he and I. So.
Well, yeah. Galen may have a different meaning and nomenclature for family meeting.
Right.
Yeah. So we're just gonna. What'd you say, Dave?
I think one thing we've been blessed with is we have met quite a few times with our family formally at the end of the year and throughout the year. And because of that, it's kind of created a culture where Keone is very, it would be hard for us to plan something for this family and he not have a voice in it. He's very safe and open to talk and say, no, I think we should do this. He's very heard. Yeah. Especially with now Skylar out. So now it's just he's, in terms of the times when we don't have something planned, and we're even as we moved into our new home, if we made a decision without him, he was just like, what's going on as far as the house goes. So he's very, very involved.
So Damon, so Galen, the Jenna and Chris is an architect, right? Your guy is getting ready to study architecture, right? So tell Chris and Jenna about Keone and his involvement in your new house. Because this is what's coming, Chris. This is what's coming when Howard grows up. He's going to tell you what color the paint is for.
No. Well, Keone's birthday cake for his, was it 15 or 16? 15. Last year was the plans for this house. That was on the cake. That's how So he had involvement with the design of the house, the furniture,
It was a
decor.
fight
I mean, it was
between him
it was like
and them. Like, I'm out of it. I don't
Yeah.
care what the walls are. Pick a color.
it was a balancing of, because I'm kind of, you know, it was a first for me. This is the first time we built the house. We weren't planning on building, but that's what happened. And so for me, I'm kind of trying to have my first experience, but balancing out, allowing him to do his thing. So I don't want to like push him to the side, trying to have my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a balance for me. A lot of, I had to pull myself back and say, let him just have it.
That's really good.
Sometimes what we don't understand is when we're having family meetings, there is a byproduct of a family meeting, and it's called empowerment. When you're in a family meeting and you're asking them what they think and you're asking them what they care about, they hear, oh, they're listening to me. This is so great. I'm going to stay at home more, but it's not like I'm going to be quiet either. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, how I feel about it, and I want to see you use some of my ideas.
Absolutely.
So you're saying that we need to plan for someone as opinionated as Chris and I both are to also join in this conversation. Wow, we really need to come on Saturday and take some really good notes then.
Well, you ask these people that question, Jenna. They will tell you.
I mean, it's the dynamic of a child going from where they're always depending on you, and then they transition into adolescence or whatever you want to call it, and they got the internet and all this access to information, and then they're smart on top of it.
Right.
So you go from them always depending and believing everything you say to them telling you what it is, and it's like, what happened? Also just laughing because he already went through that, right?
Well, I've gone
It
gone through that part. I've gone through that part. The Ellingtons were the grandparents in the whole room. They're old. I mean, they old.
They are old. You're right about that.
Stefan don't look old, but Damon, you look worn out. Okay. No, what I mean by that is.
So Joseph,
Go ahead, April.
no, go ahead.
So what I mean by that is they have children who have children. Whole nother dynamic. Whole other. So those years of being highly opinionated and in the house, now they are out running their own lives, good, bad, or indifferent. And now they have to deal with the life they've built. I mean, so we got all these dynamics that are happening in our families. But like Damon said, this is a lifelong journey. You're going to be building your family until you die. The goal is to have enough family meetings, be in order, have your paperwork lined up, all your corporations, all your stuff tied up together so that you live after you die. And you can almost control them after you die. That's the idea. So anyway, April, you were going to say something, then we'll move on.
I was just going to say that Joseph will ask, if I make a decision and I don't involve him, he'll say, well, why didn't you ask me? And if he tells me something and he doesn't see that I have done what he suggested, he'll say, well, why didn't you listen to me? So it's very important that, as Dr. Williams has said, if you allow your children to be opinionated, which we should empower them to make decisions, that we also allow them to have that voice and involvement in different matters. So be prepared, for when Howard grows up to have those questions, because I'm sure they will eventually come.
Okay, let me ask this next question. For those of you who are leading a family meeting, what are the subjects? And I'm not asking you to be too vulnerable or expose yourself in a way that you don't feel comfortable. But what are the subjects that you have to cover because they are foundational for your lineage? They may not necessarily be like, other people may be like, why are you talking about that? But for you, as the leaders of your family, what subjects are a must? I mean, you gotta talk them through. It's gotta be a conversation. It's gotta be very clear because you believe it's foundational for your particular legacy.
I'm always asking, who are you? You know, and that sometimes that floats outside of the meeting, but just identity, because that all comes, everything, all the decisions, whether it's financial, spiritual, day to day, going to school, because they leave the house and then all this stuff gets presented to them. And it can be really confusing. And then they come back home and they may even try to bring something back in the door with them. So it's always being readdressed, reiterated. Who do you belong to? Who are you? And why are we doing this? Because if we don't, if none of that is, if none of that is questioned and defined, it's really hard to build anything on top of uncertainty or things that are undefined or.
Okay.
I want to piggyback off that because that is huge. And I'm glad we had an opportunity to start with this process with Adeline and Memphis, our two youngest. Now, the other four have received exposure. They know what we're about. But like Galen said, who are you? And that's huge. And one thing that we've been hammering with Adeline and Memphis, and literally since they could talk, is you like Dr. Martin has been stating in certain in this manifestation. This is a life-changing series right now, and with Adeline and Memphis knowing that they have dominion here now on earth is huge. And God first, loving themselves, and moving forward after that. Because if you don't love God and you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. So with this particular process is huge. Excellent, Gabe. That's right on point.
So for our family, there's 4 specific areas that we make sure to address in every meeting. And that is first, our faith, a relationship with God in our family. What are we doing to improve that, to reinforce it, to make it a center part of our lives all the time? And then second is family, our relationship with one another. Is there any issues that need to be addressed? Are we staying close together?
Do we have do each of us have what we need, or is there anything that we need from each other too?
And then third is finances. What is our plan for our finances? How are we growing them in this coming year or month or whatever the time frame might be? What issues or what concerns do we have regarding our finances right now that we need to jump on top of? And then the last thing would be health. Are we taking care of ourselves, and are we helping take care of one another? So those 4 things, faith, family, finances, and health, are the 4 foundations of our household.
Okay.
And those are the most important things to address in our family meetings.
Nice.
My wife said, and vacations.
We do faith, family. We always reiterate we are Ellingtons. As Ellingtons, this is what we do, and this is what we do not do.
Yeah.
But after it all, we always schedule our vacations. It is imperative and important that you vacation as a family. With just your spouse, you need to do that at least once a quarter. And that is one thing that we have worked and built into our relationship. And most people know that about us.
Well, like Dr. Martin said, if you do something more than once a week or something of that nature, you might as well own it. So everything she liked to do, she got to own it. Everything I like to do, I got to own it. So yeah, that's huge.
Awesome. I muted you first, April, just because there was some clicking or clacking. I couldn't tell what it was, but you can feel free to unmute yourself and chat.
So I'm just going to give really high level. So we talk about who we are, relationships, where we're going, why we're going there, what's important, what we're expecting, what we're going to do about what we're expecting, and what we can do, our roles, in all of that. So that's just high level. And I'm going to turn it back over to whoever wants to jump in next.
Can any of you tell us about any of your outcomes? I mean, you had a family meeting, you discussed something. Maybe it was a sticking point, but it was really important to you and your whole family. You discussed it, you agreed on it, you prayed about it, and there was an outcome out of it that showed this process of you getting there, and it was a real win for your family. And it's notable. Do y'all need time to have a huddle and talk about this?
So what we try to do is financially when we discuss.
Not try.
Okay, so what we do is when we break down what we're going to do financially, we set goals of what we are going to pay off and how we're going to get to that. And when we hit those goals, because we hit them, I mean, we just bring that all back up. This is what we did to get this taken care of. And now, we're going to move to this one. So since we did it this way, we can furthermore do it that way. So we always try to gloat about those type of things and
Celebrate it.
Yeah, celebrate, gloat. But we always look at what went well, what didn't go well, how can we improve to get a better result quicker and more efficiently.
And with a 5-year-old, sometimes he don't want to sit still, but knowing that he hit certain goals is huge. And my wife just recently, because he wanted this huge fire truck, and this was during potty training time. And I told him if he had no accidents, and this was a couple years ago, but if he had no accidents, he can get this fire truck. And my wife was like, that's a $40 fire truck. I said, but he don't play with it no more. But it's the goal. It's the goal and being met and then celebrated. So I was just glad he met the goal. So, and it saves us money now.
Oh, definitely. What happened? Did he tell you he met the goal, or did you discover it? I mean, what happened when he met his goal? How did that?
So it's a daily. It's daily. So we would keep a chart, and he would get to go put a sticker or mark it off that he did it. Obviously, when you fail, you start over, but we address that then as well.
Yeah.
But once they hit their goal, then they're all excited and they're like, I did it. And Daddy's going to take me to such and such and such and such. And then I'm like, well, what are you getting? Are you going to play with that? And that's when it all starts.
Yeah.
She's the money analyst.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, I've learned, and I don't, Josh is married. I don't have grandkids yet, but I've learned this one lesson. A kid celebrating potty training and reaching that goal is the exact same of them graduating from college. It's the exact same thing to them. It's, hey, I did it, Dad. I met this goal. So it's a fire truck at 5. It's a BMW at 18. It's, but it's really something to celebrate in the family. Yeah. Did someone have something else?
So for us, like a really specific example is after we had the baby, he was very, very new. And I was sitting there thinking like, I love this. And I don't want to go back to a job, but like I had all these things going on in my head. Plus post-pregnancy hormones, the ladies will understand, are just crazy. So I had all this stuff going on, and Chris is like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't want to go back. And so we had this conversation in our family meeting, and he's like, then don't go back. And I was like, it's not that easy. And he talked me off the ledge. And we made a decision that we would transition out of me working and me going into my own thing full time. And by setting that, that intention, by working towards that, we actually manifested an opportunity for me to get paid from my old job to start my business over this past year, because we had a family meeting and we agreed upon it and we set an intention together. So had we not had that family meeting, I would have still been in this space hating what I was doing, but feeling trapped by my own paradigms. But he simply just came in and said,
What we're doing.
we're going to do this. You can do this. And so that was the power of our family meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Did you have one? Anybody else?
Go ahead and mute you. Go ahead.
Outcomes. So I think, was it 2019? 2019, we had a meeting. 2018, we had this family meeting and set a whole bunch of goals for 2020. So that was like the big year. This is our goal year. This is from Keone. So he said, 2020, we need to be in a new house, we need to be healthy, and we need to be debt free. That was kind of put together by all of us, but he wanted the new house by then. And at that point in time, we hadn't even, we hadn't seen the property, we hadn't done any of that. So when 2020 rolls around, as crazy as it was, we closed on the house right before the shutdown. So we had a whole month off.
Well, the week of the shutdown, we closed.
Right. But we had a whole month off to move in and get everything set up. And then we paid off a whole bunch of bills. And what else? Oh, we to 2021 for us to get healthy. But
we did it 10 years ago.
it's a process. But I think that was like our most successful family meeting. Like we could check that off. Check.
I'm telling you, something happens in that power of agreement when everyone comes together. Because and Pastor Linnell, Pastor Linnell said to me, now, we're gonna be teaching everybody this on Saturday. And I said, yeah, I know, I just want to talk to them. But I'm telling you, when you have the one goal of everybody agreeing on the goal, we're just gonna agree. We're going to agree, all of us together. It may be your 5-year-old's, he may have told you, but then everybody agrees on that. The power that comes to a family, what you can get done in a pandemic, pivot in your business, pivot from your job, build a house, have a baby, start a company, move to wherever April moved. When you can do all that, that's the power of coming together and saying, we agree. We're together on this. Chris says to his wife, babe, make the leap. You can do this. I'm with you. That agreement in families, we fuss and fight when we're in this house, but when we leave, we agree. There's just so much power. So I want to skip the last 2 questions, but I want to leave room for this one. You guys are on this time with me tonight, and I really appreciate it. Because you come from different places, is there anything you would like to share that I didn't ask? Number one. Or is there something you're on with someone out there, you're on with someone here, and you'd like to ask them a question about where they are? Do any of you have any of that? You want to share something that I did not ask you? Or you want to ask a question of one of the other panelists that's on with you? Any one of you? No? That's okay. Then I'll move on to my last question then. What is the most dramatic, whether it was negative or positive? What during one of your family meetings, something either happened or something was said, and the whole family remembers that moment? Everybody remembers that moment, whether it was good or bad, but it's one of those iconic things that happened during one of your family meetings, and it's memorable. So should I tell you one? Y'all still discussing it? Well, we had in our family meeting, we were in Vegas, I believe. We took the kids to Vegas, and people are like, where are you going? Why are you going to Vegas? Your kids can't go to the shows. I said, there's plenty for them to do in Vegas. But I wanted them to go someplace, a place that was built by the dream of one or two men. I wanted them to see it and feel it in the middle of a desert. So we were doing all these tours, and we had a family vision that we had written, and it was an acrostic. And the acrostic was BEST, best, you know. So we've been singing this little jingle. We made a jingle about best, what the B stood for, the E and the S and the T stood for. I'll never forget it. And so I was up there singing, and I was expecting Josh and Callie to sing with me. And, you know, because we would dance, me and Linnell would dance, and they would dance, and we did all this thing. Well, Josh and Callie didn't move. They didn't move, and I'm still singing this old song. They didn't move at all. So I'm like, I don't know. I thought we were killing it. This is our song. I was so disappointed. And Josh spoke up for him and Callie, and he said, we decided we don't want to sing that anymore. It broke my heart. But it broke my heart. They didn't want to do that anymore. We're grown now, Dad. We don't sing those kind of songs anymore. I mean, I still give them a hard time. So every family meeting since, I break out with BEST, and they just stand there. They're just like, we told you we're not doing that anymore. So that's mine. Y'all got one? No. Nobody has one of those yet?
Not yet, Doc.
Huh?
Not yet, Doctor.
Okay. Well, they're coming. They're coming, either funny things or opportunities for someone to get up and walk out and to decide, I don't want to talk anymore. This is pushing me too fast. There are issues. Those things that they are iconic in a family meeting, and you just have to find a way to push past them. You have to find a way to move forward with them. You really have to learn how to laugh at yourself and let other people laugh at you and allow people to grow into whoever they are. So I said 30 minutes. We're at about 42 minutes. So I want to thank all of you for coming on with me tonight and spending this time with us. Everybody out there, you can go to Eventbrite. You can register for our family meeting on Saturday. It's an opportunity for you and your family. It's going to be a 3-hour webinar where we're going to give this amazing overview of a family meeting and what it could be. We expect you to, if you are serious about your family and you set all these goals and all these things that you want to get done for your family this year, I'm encouraging you to do the family meeting with us, because there's going to be amazing things that you will learn. And maybe Callie or Amanda can put that up on Eventbrite, how you can register. So I'm coming back to my panel here, and I'm asking all of them to give me a 1-minute sort of thought process about the family meeting, sort of what they're thinking about for their families, how important their futures are, and what they, just the last few words of encouragement for everybody out there, and bless them and encouraging them to be a part of our family meeting. So go ahead, guys.
We just want to say, first and foremost, register. My wife has to work, but I told her, I said, one of us got to go. So we want, even though we've been doing it, we want to make sure that we get tools that we can use, as Dr. Martin has said in the past, to sharpen your axe. So we want to be able to move forward. And it's a process. Patience and perseverance has the promise of provision. And I guarantee you, if you're patient and you're building, change will happen if that's what you're looking for. If that's what you're looking for, get ready. And this is how it starts: registering through Eventbrite, for the family meeting.
Yeah, I would say start, start. You
Mhm.
put one foot in front of the other. Each year it gets better and better and better. But you have to start.
Yep. And I know we got children that are out there, but I listen to Dr. Monroe and Dr. Martin all the time. And people ask, well, why your kids? I said, that's okay. They're just lost. They'll be back. They'll be back. It's okay. They'll be back.
Yeah.
And this family meeting helps with that
Yes.
tremendously.
Okay. Thank you, Ellingtons.
I just want to encourage you all to go ahead and register. As the Ellingtons have already said, I know this is going to be an amazing session. I know you all already have phenomenal families, but this is going to help you to make a plan to ensure that your family is all moving in the same direction, that you understand the vision, that you know how to bring your family together to have the right conversations and in the right format. So I know you're going to be blessed from the family meeting, and I do encourage you to go ahead and register. You're going to have information regardless of what your family dynamic is. If you have a blended family, if you have a family of one because you're not married and you don't have children, if you have your expanded family who's all under one roof, if you are divorced and have children, if you're empty nesters, whatever category you're in, this is going to benefit you. And I just encourage you to register for the family meeting.
Going to make you an offer you will not be able to refuse.
Well, from the endings, we just want to say register, just like the Ellington said. We've been doing family meetings for a few years, not at the end of the year, but throughout the year. And so, there's people have a plan for you and your money and your children. And so it's best that you have a plan for them too. So that's a really good reason to have a meeting, and also to move forward on Saturday and register. We've been doing them, but we are registered for Saturday as well, just to increase the structure and add to what we're already doing. And we've been hearing about this from the pulpit for years, but I think this is maybe the second time, but second opportunity to really get to dive in with other families. To learn how to, the most powerful thing that comes from a family meeting is agreement with wife and children. And it not only blesses the marriage, but it really, when your children see that you all come around the table and have a goal and they participated in it, it really boosts their vision for the family vision. And they start telling you, I'm going to build you a house. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Because they understand the energy of bringing the family together and actually getting outcomes from those meetings.
Yeah.
So sign up and register on Saturday.
So there's a little sidebar, but I talked with my boss recently, and he went on a corporate retreat for the leadership of the company I work for, a 2-day retreat. And I was like, oh, what did you guys talk about? He said, oh, we're talking about, our performance in the last year and setting goals for the next year and for 5 years. I'm like, oh, interesting. So essentially what I'm trying to say is successful companies are doing this too. This is not, a new idea necessarily, but it is a proven idea that works. It works in the corporate world, and it works in your family as well. So it's something you need in order to get everyone on the same page and, set a destination on your family GPS of where you're all heading.
I'd say 2021 is only going to speed up. The pace of change is speeding up. And so the best thing that you can do for your family is to get everybody on the same page and in one accord. And if I know anything, it's that the people that you surround yourself with and the process that you submit yourself to is the things that determine your results. So making sure that you're setting up time to be here and to learn is only going to give you a return on investment of 100-fold at least. So I think it's time for you and your family, just like it's time for us, no matter where you're at in the process, to up your game and to get ready for the amazing year that's coming by being in unity with your family.
Thank you guys so much. I'll just say this one thing to everyone. I had never been to a family meeting and hadn't even heard of people doing it. And then I read the story of Jacob. And when Jacob was in his bed dying, the Bible says that he literally swung his legs out of the bed and sat on the edge of his bed. And for 3 days, he talked to all his sons. He said, your name is, this is what your name means. This is who you are. This is what you're doing. This is why I named you that. This is your place in our family. These are your gifts. And that's your brother. Now, he has an issue, and it's your job to help him with that. I'm leaving. I'm leaving this in your hands. The only reason we talk about Jesus is because of Jacob. It's the only reason, because he had family meetings over days and weeks of sharing with his boys. This is who we are. This is our vision. Here's the money. This is how you grow this money. This is how you get married. This is how you treat your children. This is where you build your house. This is how you make friends. This is how you beat your enemies. These are all things that happen in that intimate space. And a lot of people out there don't know the power of their family until they have this meeting. Well, I've been on here long enough. My wife has been working on this night. She just texted me. She said, you know what, dude? You've been on there long enough. Let those folks go. So that's what I'm going to do. Hey, guys, I love y'all so much. I so appreciate you. So proud of your families. I learned so much from you, believe it or not. So have a great night.
Night.
Good night. Y'all talk.